What is up, guys? It's Flash back with some more charts and another video. It's Wednesday, October 16th, about 5:15 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do a mid-October big picture uranium review. All the ratios, all the individual stocks that I follow, primarily on the monthly time frame. We will drop into the weekly on, for example, like ASPI or nanonuclear or SMR. But for the most part, we're going to keep it on the monthly. Hopefully it's not too long of a video, and let's get cracking. So URA, potential breakout in the mix here on the monthly momentum, distance percentage from the 3-year moving average. I mean, this dip was violent, but it was short, and we are right back above pretty much where we were, last quarter before that. Like, we are right back in the mix, baby, and the bull market is on. So URA looks really good. This sloping resistance line only really has 2 touch points, but it does look like a bullish chart to me. We've got to cover gold. Gold on the big picture is like super bullish, right? So kind of just following along here on the momentum, we're still climbing this wall of momentum, and we'll know when it breaks down, when it's going to take a break. But ultimately, this is, I think, going to start attracting capital from the S&P 500, which is what we really try to keep our eye on. So this is gold measured in the S&P 500. I'm thinking this is turning a corner here and turning the ship, but we do need to be, wary of kind of just a downsloping parallel channel against the S&P 500. But definitely has some room to run to the upside. We also look at, I look at NDX measured in gold, so the NASDAQ measured in gold. Kind of a similar story here. We think this is rounding out and gold will take over soon, but there are some similarities that we should be aware of, back in before the dot-com bubble. So just want to keep our eye on this. Ultimately, I think gold is going to start taking over. All right, we got U.UN, the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, holding its uptrend. Looks like it's bull flagging, and we're catching a bounce here on momentum. So we're bouncing above the moving average into some sort of support. If we look back here, kind of around this area. That looks good. UX1, we're just riding up this bull, and looks like we could be gearing up for another leg up, right? I do want to point out there is a little bit of a trend line here on momentum that we have broken. Could probably tighten this up a little bit. So just to be wary of that, but we can look at, I think it's CCJ, broke down of its monthly, but it's now back above. So we'll look at that soon. The metal measured in gold, again, a little bit of a breakdown here in momentum. This is would be a long trend line. So, but we are looking like we're bouncing here on the bull, just below support. Want to see this start turning up, and the metal to be outperforming gold, because URA as a proxy for U.UN, so URA pretty much measured in the metal, is starting to look really good. Like, this is kind of the moment we've been waiting for in uranium land. Other than back here in 2020, July of 2020 when it broke out, these things went crazy. So this is just looks like even another breakout, and man, this could be fireworks, boys. So we're so close and we're right there. It just shows you how early we are in this bull market. URA measured in gold, we want this to get back above 0.0157. I think that's when we truly will be in a huge bull market. This is on the monthly time frame, so these moves that it's making now, they're huge moves, but in retrospect, it's just a drop in the bucket. Clear momentum breakout line we have our eyes on. URA measured in gold. URA measured in the S&P 500. Similar story. We want to get back above 0.0065. You could even wait. Like, we're so early that I think you could wait to get in here before you know that we're going to be outperforming the stock markets. So URA measured in the NASDAQ. Again, we're right there to attract capital out of the NASDAQ. And then I think the whole ball game has changed, right? You can see some of the Mag 7 stocks breaking down versus gold or showing earlier warning signs. The S&P, the NASDAQ, NVIDIA, for example, may still have another leg in them. Who's to say? CCJ measured in gold looks really good. We're back above this kind of midpoint, which is where you want to be. Here's what I'm saying, NVIDIA versus CCJ. So a little bit of weakness here. We can zoom in on the weekly. This is what I think a lot of people need to have their eyes on, is NVIDIA. It's been such a beast. Is it kind of maybe giving a little bit of leeway to CCJ? So far it has broken down, right? When we zoom in on the weekly time frame, but there is, another support structure in here somewhere. So we just got to keep our eye on it. And then Apple versus CCJ, we want this to be rolling over in favor of CCJ. It looks like it's continuing to do so. Bitcoin measured in CCJ. Big, looks like a topping structure, right? But we need this to play out. We need more data. We could very well stay in this channel, and Bitcoin could even continue to outperform. But it looks like a big head and shoulders to me. Apple measured in URA. Again, we want this to be rolling over in favor of URA. Similar story, but again, we got some well-defined channels on the chart. We need more data. We want to see this continue to break down if we want URA to win. Another one I like to measure is just the ASA chart, ASA. It's the Gold and Precious Metals Limited. It's a big fund that has a lot of historical data. And generally we want the precious metals mining complex to be going up with uranium equities. ASA measured in gold, could be a bull structure here forming. This looks a little bit bullish to me at the bottom right of this bull. We can bring up momentum. I don't know what that line was doing, but yeah, a little bit of a momentum breakout here. We want this to get above the zero line, above the moving average, and continue it to go up. Finally, URA measured in USA, ASA rather. If ASA is going to outperform gold, if ASA is performing well, we want uranium to be outperforming ASA, and that's what it looks like. It's just kind of turned this little corner over the last couple months. We look to be heading back to the upside. So that's really good from a ratio perspective. Everything looks healthy. I would say key takeaways, let's break out against the S&P 500. Let's break out against NASDAQ, and let's just ride this thing into oblivion. Go over to some individual tickers now. Again, I mentioned CCJ. Man, like huge little thrust here after a false breakdown on this momentum breakout line. We could even drag this back all the way to here. And maybe that kind of clears things up for us. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Maybe. CCJ leading the way. Looks good. Want to stay in this channel. But it can fluctuate up and down in this channel, right? Over to Paladin. Similar story. And you're going to see some of these lines in the sand I have drawn from a momentum perspective. We want to break out of these horizontal lines for a true big run. Bannerman. Can zoom out a little bit here on Bannerman. Has a general support line on momentum, kind of like that CCJ one. And again, we just want to stay above the zero line. It should guide us up the bull, or generally speaking, up and to the right. But Bannerman looks good. Deep yellow. So deep yellow, yes, breakout of this big horizontal, consolidating after the breakout underneath a line of support resistance. That's healthy price action. We're going to know when this really does break out by going above this horizontal line. Encore Energy. Very healthy looking, sideways consolidation, very volatile. But again, we're going to get your alerts set. We'll add alert here. That's when Encore is going to be breaking out. FSY. Again, some similar look and feels as some of the other ones. For example, Encore, another line we need to get above. Keep it simple here, FSY. Denison Mines. This one's looking poppy, right? Big line here in the middle that we want to get above. We're now above it. We want to break out of this channel and do a massive run. Momentum's a little bit funky, but I would say this looks really good. We're going to star Denison Mines. UEC, man, incredible price action on UEC. Looks like it's slingshotting upwards. May hit our heads here a little bit and consolidate, or we may just blast through this resistance line. CGN Mining. Like the look and feel of this one when we kind of have a sideways bull and support kind of goes right into the moving average. Really interesting. Like that just could guide price up to 80 bucks at $1.61 now. I mean, that would be insane, but dreamers can dream. We'll see. Don't really have any clear signs of momentum right now, but we are above the zero line. We're above that moving average. You know, we could just go sideways on momentum, and that moving average should guide price up quite nicely. Over to Silex. Can't really get a huge read on Silex right now. I think we still want to break out of this momentum, but we did kind of fall underneath this trend line. So it's just interesting. We need a little bit more data here. But ultimately, like, looks like a nice clean trend here for the most part. We're hitting some resistance in the middle of this channel. Okay, SMR. Let's drop into the weekly on SMR. That looks like a cup and handle to me with a breakout. But I will say, like, let's kind of just be notable that you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. You know, we could enter into a consolidation, kind of similar to what we did with URA, right? We just want to kind of be mindful that that is a possibility that does exist. You know, you have your classic ABC here to the upside. But other than that, that's bullish price action, and there's a big target on this thing. You know, just generally speaking, you know, you could be looking at, it's 19 bucks today, $122 target, long-term investment. SMR looks good. Let's star SMR. Over to Lotus. Lotus is looking okay. Just kind of chopping in this channel. Clear breakout line for momentum. Boss Energy. Ooh, Boss Energy. Look at that bounce on this support line. Like, that is picture perfect. You know, I imagine we're probably doing something like this, you know, with the way momentum's looking. But man, that looks bullish to me. Big picture stuff. ISO Energy. I mean, this is just compressed. This has so much energy. It's ready to release, and hopefully it's to the upside, right? So it just looks like a big classic bull flag. What a beauty. ISO, we'll star that one. Alligator Energy, very similar, right? Bull flag, kind of like a head and shoulders pattern on the macro time frame. This thing is also gearing up. Man, it's crazy, these launch pads that some of these things are on. Next gen, kind of looks like UEC, right? Big, powerful move upwards. I think this is going to keep going. We're going to star next gen. Yellow Cake. Yellow Cake is just pretty much the U.UN chart, it looks like, right? But we have some sort of steep breakout line here on Yellow Cake. Ideally, we want to be looking for something like right in here, because this could chop around and go sideways or down. But we're at the bottom of the channel, breaking out of a bull flag. I think that means we could go upwards. ASPI on, we'll drop into the daily. The weekly, actually, sorry. Another, like, man, some of these stocks can just move so quickly because of their market cap. ASPI looks really good to continue the upside. Same thing with Nano Nuclear. We have to be on the daily for Nano Nuclear. Like, this is nuts how fast this stock in particular is moving. Like, if we just kind of follow this trend up and to the right, 200% move in 45 days. Are you kidding me? And then if we zoom in on the 2-day, clear uptrend in momentum. So we'll know once this breaks down that, okay, that this first maybe leg is over. We're going to consolidate for a few weeks, generally speaking, right? But you have this you know, general channel going up and to the right. Love Nano Nuclear. We got to star that one. All right, over to Centris, LEU. And ladies and gentlemen, this is, I think, what the rest of these tickers are going to do once they break out of momentum. Look at this clear breakout on Centris. And you could see it just getting coiled and coiled and coiled in between the moving average and the little resistance line here. Very powerful release of energy. I expect this to continue. 26% move today in Centris. You guys know I've been watching this one for a while. This is a huge, huge day, month, week, what have you for Centris. Starring Centris. Let's look at Elevate. Elevate. I mean, it looks like it did before Centris broke out. Like, it's right there, guys. This is the time, I think, to be loading up and looking at entries, because we could be resuming this big, big leg upwards. Sky Harbor, like some of the ones in the middle of the pack right now that haven't yet taken off. Not that any, like UEC might be taking off, Centris is taking off, but these are going to follow suit, I think. So this is Sky Harbor. The price targets on this is incredible. You know, Laramide looks really good when we zoom in on momentum. Like, it does these consolidations and then it continues going, hopefully up this bull. So we want the bull to guide the price action along with the moving average, and we do these breakouts above the moving average, patterns within the moving average as we go up the bull. MGA, Mega Uranium. Like, this is the time. Falling wedge, bullish price action. Energy fuels, like one after the other, these things are starting to look so good. Load up the bag. That's my advice. It's not financial advice, but man, you can't help but get excited by the look and feel of these charts, because I really don't think this indicator, the distance percentage from the moving average, it really doesn't trick you out. You know, once it breaks out, that generally means price is going to go up and to the right. Another good looking one is Can Alaska. Smush Can Alaska down a little bit, and then look what it's doing on momentum. Like, it has broken out. This thing is going to go bonkers, in my opinion. Western Uranium, still knocking on the door. UROY, still knocking on the door in a big bull flag, it looks like. You can look at momentum maybe on the 3-day, it can tell us something, or on the weekly rather. Momentum's a little bit tricky with UROY. F3 Uranium, approaching some explosive price action. Very close. Cap, breakout on momentum. You see what that does to price action. These things have some room to run. Talk about AI, talk about nuclear supporting AI. It seems to be that is a general theme, and that the price chart is recognizing that. The market has that going for it, right? So FCU, fission uranium, looks really good. GLO, a little bit of a breakdown here on the trend, right? Price, but momentum's telling us a different story. Like, this is the time to maybe once this breaks, that could be the beginning of a huge run for GLO. All right, over to the laggards. BSK has just really been letting me down, slow down, move into the right. Maybe there's some momentum here left, but I don't know, man. I'm out on BSK right now. Lightbridge, 35.6% move today. Are you kidding me? Breaking out of momentum. This thing can continue to run, but there is still some overhead resistance with Lightbridge. FMC broke out of momentum. False breakdown out of that falling wedge. We'll zoom in on the weekly to show you. Look at that. Classic false breakdown, slingshot back upwards. It's wild to me. GoVX, still knocking on the door, still needs more time. Base load, not interested in base load right now. AEC, I will say, has my ears perked up. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. Once this momentum really breaks out, you see it in the price. We're now above the 3-year moving average, and this thing has a ton of upside to run, assuming it can continue breaking through these resistance lines and making them support. And then Penn is like squeezing a little bit, but I'm not sure. There's too much resistance for me to really be interested by Penn. So boys, I hope that's helpful. It looks really good on my end. I'm gonna start trying to do these recaps a little bit more frequently, but really all I need is every other week. But hopefully this is helpful. Drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.